Fukushima Nuclear Disaster, Japan, 2011. On Friday, the 11th of March 2011, the Great East Japan earthquake, which measured 9.0 on the Richter scale, caused a 15-meter tsunami that disabled the power supply and prompted 3 reactor meltdowns at the Fukushima Daiichi plant. Official figures suggest that more than 1,000 deaths occurred as a result of an evacuation process that displaced more than 100,000 people. Subsequent investigations have suggested that the infrastructure and risk forecasting were inadequate for such a devastating natural disaster. It was only the second accident in history to receive the most severe Level 7 rating. Kyshtym nuclear disaster, Russia, 1957. The third most serious nuclear accident in history happened at the secretive Mayak plant near the Russian town of Kyshtym, part of the Soviet Union's attempt to match the U.S. for weapons-grade plutonium production. After a faulty cooling system was left to disrepair, rising temperatures resulted in an explosion with the equivalent force of 70 to 100 tons of TNT. Nuclear fallout reached more than 300 kilometers away, and, due to the classified nature of the plant, it was only a week later that 10,000 locals were evacuated from the area. Chernobyl nuclear disaster, Ukraine, 1986. The Chernobyl disaster is the worst nuclear power plant accident ever in terms of death toll and cost. The only other Level 7 accident happened on 26 April 1986, when a steam explosion destroyed reactor number 4 at the Ukrainian plant. Resulting fires spread huge amounts of radioactive waste across Western Europe, killing around 30 people from acute radiation poisoning in the immediate aftermath, and raising long-term fears of increased instances of thyroid cancer. The World Nuclear Association says, the nuclear disaster was the product of a flawed Soviet reactor design coupled with serious mistakes made by the plant operators. 3 Mile Island nuclear accident. The 3 Mile Island Unit 2 TMI-2 reactor near Middletown, Pennsylvania, suffered a partial meltdown on March 28, 1979. The most serious accident in U.S. nuclear power plant history was caused by a relief valve failure after an unplanned shutdown, causing severe damage to the core. Better instrumentation, training programs, and public information would have vastly improved matters, but luckily there were no injuries or discernible health impacts. Windscale fire, nuclear disaster, Sellafield, UK, 1957. On October 10, 1957, a raging inferno swept through the core of Unit 1 nuclear reactor at Windscale, Cumberland, now Sellafield, Cumbria, for 3 days. The Level 5 accident dumped radioactive contamination across Europe, and it is thought that traces of isotope iodine-131 may have caused several hundred cancer diagnoses. Windscale's 2 piles had been hastily built during the British atomic bomb project. It was the UK's worst ever nuclear accident. On July 16, 1979, in Church Rock, New Mexico, a dam at United Nuclear Corporation's uranium mill collapsed, causing the largest radioactive spill in U.S. history, exceeding even 3 Mile Island. Over 1,100 tons of radioactive waste and 94 million gallons of toxic, acidic water flooded into the Puerco River, contaminating land and water used by nearby Navajo communities. Despite the danger, residents, who relied on the river for drinking and farming, weren't warned for days. The disaster exposed severe negligence and a disturbing lack of care for the health and safety of local citizens.